Okay, so a couple of things we want to show is the changes to the emailing system and the changes to the invoices in 906. So some of the things we've been asked about repeatedly over the last couple of shows we've done is to expand on the ability to send emails to customers, either to be able to send them by HTML or to send them grouping customers differently. The other thing has been about invoices, being able to modify those, being able to add other things to them, be able to add attachments and the layout and that kind of thing. So we made quite a few changes, and I will run through and show you what those look like. So one of the first things that we ran through and changed was the automatic email system in PowerCode. So I'll jump into that quick and show you what that looks like. So the way the automatic emails worked in PowerCode in versions prior to 905 was there were certain predefined triggers for things like customers using a certain percentage of bandwidth usage or an install being scheduled and that kind of thing. Now, there was a lot of other emails in the system that were hard-coded in, like a financial transaction failing or a customer portal username and password reminder or the credit card expiring. And so we've taken all of those emails and now made them configurable. So you can see I have a list of sort of random emails defined here, but I'll show you what it looks like to make a new one. So we're adding a new automatic email now. We've joined together a couple of things that used to be separated. We now have the parameters of the automatic email, and then we have the message that you're going to define to go out. So let's go through and do a generic one here. Let's say we were going to do, I don't know, let's call this a testing email. So let's say we were going to do install a schedule, right? So this would go out when an install gets scheduled. This would go to the installer. So a couple of options we have is the status. We can make it active or not active to stop it going out. We could choose to attach the latest invoice to the email. And then we go ahead and define the message. So one of the big things we've done here is allow you to define multiple messages for multiple languages. What this allows you to do is to have customers in your system that are set to have a preference of a specific language, and they will then get a message in this language. So we've been asked about this a lot from customers that are in Montreal, places like that, where they want to have multiple options, customers in the south of the U.S. that want to do English and Spanish. But you could also do this in Europe to do Italian and German or something else at the same time. The from address is going to be the email address that the emails come from. So this can be anything you like. And then the subject, like it sounds, is going to be the subject. So one of the big things we've changed is formatting the emails themselves. This just used to be a normal text field. So you'd come in here and say, dear customer. So, there wasn't much you could do to this. You'd have the text entered in there. That was the end. Well, we've changed this to be allow you to do HTML emails and to be able to do a lot of styling on this. So, maybe we want to make sure the customer really understands that we think they're great. Maybe we want to do that by making this really big. And we're also going to make it red. And let's put it in italics as well. So, we can do some pretty basic stuff in here to change the basic styling of the message. Maybe I want to put an image in at the top so I can link to the logo off my website. Or maybe I want to embed a video from YouTube into here as well so they can see a dancing cat or something when they get this email. Can also do a whole bunch of other generic things. Maybe I want to link this back to my website so I can, say this is going to go to powercode.com. And you can see we also have options up here to make this, a link to an email address, control whether it opens in a new tab, and all these different kinds of things. So, this lets you do some pretty basic stuff. Now, we can do more complicated things like building a table in here and using this for styling. So maybe within this table, I can put an image at the top left. I can put some text down in here. You can really lay this out however you want. So this gives you some flexibility to do some pretty basic stuff. Now, if you want to get more in depth, you can hit this button and it'll actually break it down into the base HTML. So if you know HTML and you want to make this really snazzy, you can come in here and actually write these in HTML and then hit this button and it's going to show you what it would look like rendered as an actual email. So one of the last things we have added is this drop-down that gives you the option to put different variables in here that will get automatically replaced. Now, we had some of these tied in to the old auto email system, but we've added a whole bunch of other ones in here and done some additional calculations for things like balance due. So let's say we wanted to add on to this, and I wanted to say, all right, so you owe me whatever your current balance due is. So that's going to get input into here, and you can see we have this variable style where we have these strings of text that are encased in percentage signs. Now you can apply styling to these too, and that will get preserved. So maybe I'm going to make this red. So say we're going to pay by the next bill cycle day. So I can come in here and fill these things, and maybe I don't want to say dear customer. Maybe I want to say put their first name and last name in there. So you can build these emails out and make them look pretty cool. So the other thing that we've added is some custom variables that are applicable to specific email types. So to give you an example, if we're going to do a financial transaction failed, we're going to get some additional variables down here below the separator which let us reference the last 4 digits of the account that the transaction failed on and the amount that we tried to charge. If I change this to, let's see what else we have, ticket notification, we get the ticket number. So we'll have all these different events defined in the wiki, but what you should expect to see going forward is any email that goes to a customer for any reason is going to be based on an event in here, and you're going to be able to configure what that email looks like. We'll have some basic templates in here that'll be in there automatically that are defined, but you'll be able to change them to look any way you want. So things like the billing day invoice message, this would be the email that goes out to a customer when their invoice is generated. So to make this work, right, we'd fill everything we want in, check attach latest invoice, and they're going to get an email with the latest invoice and whatever message you want. Things like the customer portal username and password, this would be where you check the box within the admin side to send them their username and password, or they reset their username and password from the customer portal. So the last thing we can do here is put some attachments on here. So we can put Jacob's wish list on there. I can put repair table on there. So we can have multiple attachments as well, and these will then go out every single time this email is sent. So maybe every time you send a bill, you want to also send out some kind of advertising with it, right? With your latest specials, you want to send a PDF or something like that. You'll be able to do that now. So once you've defined an email, if you go and edit it, what you'll see is a list of the messages that are associated with that email. So if I hit add message, this is how I can continue to add in additional languages. I don't know Spanish very well, so I'm not going to try and type something in here. But every language you have supported in your system, you're going to be able to select from here, and then the customer will get whatever their preferred language email is. So that's a quick look at what the auto emails look like. Hopefully that all makes sense. The other big thing we've changed with the email is Outbound. I'm going to show you the couple of options we have here. So we have 2 options now to send through an internal server or the remote SMTP server. So you've always had to kind of hack this in the back end through SendMail in the past. Typically there's going to be a mail server running on your PowerCode billing system, and it's going to send directly from the billing system. We've had a lot of requests to be able to do it through a remote server, so we've implemented that in here. And you can now configure that to send through a remote server. You can use SSL. You can use SMTP authentication. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So that's just a way to simplify the outbound email configuration. Last thing we've done with email is overhaul the send email to customers function. So if you recall what this looked like before, you had the option to send based on status, or you could send to an individual customer. So now we made this a little bit more in depth. So I come in here and say, maybe tower outage, we're having an outage. So I'm going to say, we are going to have an outage on our 10,000 foot tower. Please be aware. Okay, so we're going to send this email to a customer. And again, you can do all of the customization of colors and stuff within here and make it look really ugly if you want to. So same deal in here, we can do attachments, but the big change really here is the ability to select who it's sent to. So in the send to drop-down, we have different categories, and then based on the category we get different items. So if I select status, we're going to get a list of all the statuses in our system. Let's say I want this to go to active customers, and maybe for some reason I want to also send this to collections customers. And then I only want this to go to people that are associated with my network site called default network location. And I also want them to have this service. So the way this calculation works is that we look at this category name and we say for every item in this list that has the same category name, it has to be, either of these things. So this would go to customers that have a status of active or a status of collections. Obviously, they can't be in both active and collections, so it's one or the other. But when you look at the other categories, what we're saying is, and they have to also have this. So we would say, in this particular case, the status has to either be active or collections, and they have to be on the network site default network location, and they have to have the service 50 down and 10 up. Now, if I was to go into IP address ranges and add bridge test, and I also add testing bonding, now what we're saying is they have to have either a status of active or collections, and they have to be on this network site, and they have to have this service, and they have to be in either the bridge test or the testing bonding DHCP range. So you can make this pretty specific if you wanted to go to a wide range of different customers, based on all these factors. But for this one, really, what I probably would want is for this to go out to active customers that are on, if this was my 10,000 foot tower default network location. So when you hit send email, these all get queued up in the background and go out. Now, we can do the same thing to send to an individual customer, except we don't get all those parameters. Now, if I come in here and click on sending this to John Kerry, now all I get is the ability to define the message from and put some attachments on there if I want to. And then it'll go to John Kerry. So along with all these changes to email, one of the big changes we made in PowerCode is to eliminate this kind of master email address that sits on an account. Now you'll see we still have an email address listed here, but this is now pulling from the primary contact. We no longer, when you edit an account, we no longer have the email address and the phone numbers defined here. These come straight from the primary contact. And the reason we've done that is that there's now a setting on every contact to define what type of emails you want them to get. So for Mr. John Kerry, we have him set to get all emails, which means he's going to get invoices and he's going to get all the automatic emails. But, maybe he has someone else living in his house, like, I don't know, maybe George Bush. And we don't want George to get invoices, but we do want him to get these automatic emails. So I'm going to set him to automatic emails only. And then when I store this contact on the account, he's now listed in there with his email address, and he's now going to get automatic emails, but John's going to be the only guy getting invoices. So a kind of workaround people used to do is to enter all these email addresses with commas up in here. Well, what we're going to do when you upgrade to 906 is take all those email addresses, make contacts out of them, and list them all as getting the invoice. So if we decided now we do want George to get invoices as well, I could either set him to invoice only or all emails, and he's then going to get those emails as well. You can also send these emails direct to contacts by coming into the contact and clicking on the link. That's going to take you in here to send them an email. So, we've kind of changed a lot of this around to make it easier, to make it more scalable so that you have a better option to send all these emails to multiple contacts if you want to. And then so that you can make those emails look a little cleaner than they used to and be able to really configure those the way you want. So, that covers most of the email. So the other thing we've changed is invoices. So we now have this new invoice configuration page where we configure the invoices specifically. So in here you can define on the remittance slip where you want payment to go to. We can upload a company logo. And then we have some options in here to show or hide different things. So we can show the company logo. We have some images on the invoice now you can turn off, showing data usage, billing period, invoice preference. We've also added an option in here to charge for printed invoices automatically. So if you have a customer that prints an invoice, we can say it's $2, or if you want to print an invoice, maybe it's $400. We can also define these custom invoice messages like you used to be able to. So we have an invoice message, and then we have a return step message. So here's what these invoices look like now. We're still going to have some options for having things like a custom detail page that gets attached as well, but this will be the high-level invoice. So other than the styling on it, the major things that have changed are we now have the addresses positioned to fit in a regular number 2 window envelope, and a remittance stub will also fit in a regular remittance envelope. And one of the things we're doing is tying in with a print-to-mail service so that you can automatically have all of your invoices get printed and mailed by a third party without you having to interact, and they will send those invoices out with a remittance stub. We're going to publish what the final cost is going to be for that, but it's looking like 70 cents or less per invoice to do that. So with this configuration option we have in here, you can just automatically bill your customers a couple of bucks, and then you pay 70 cents and they get mailed for you. You don't have to print stuff the envelopes anymore. Another big thing with the invoice change is these are now also configurable by language. So all of these points that say things like summary of charges are going to be able to be changed to go out in Spanish if the customer has Spanish set as their language, or French, or whatever language you could possibly be looking for. So that's a quick rundown of the major changes we're making in PowerCode. Looks like we do have a couple of questions in here. Okay, so we had one participant who said they've been separating emails on the main account by space rather than comma. So we're going to look at different separation parameters that people have used in there. We do kind of have that on the list already, that some people have used semicolons. So we'll break all those apart and make sure that contexts get created by those. Okay. So it doesn't look like we have any other questions in here right now. So if anyone has anything else, then let me know. We got one more. Okay, so Tara has asked, is there a choice between invoice and statement? So the plan is right now probably for there not to be. What we found when we had both in the past is that there was a lot of confusion about the differences, and people would flip between them and then be confused about what the customers were seeing. Not really sort of fundamentally opposed to there being different options if there's demand for it, but right now the plan is that the customer is going to get a statement that shows, the prior balance as well as all the current charges for the billing period. The one other thing I should mention that we're doing in this is making it so that these invoices are stored permanently on the system as PDFs rather than only being in a database. So one of the things that people have noticed is that you might send an invoice to somebody and then you change something like the invoice custom message, and then you look at that invoice again and now that message has changed. So we're going to maintain the invoices as they were sent on the system as PDFs, so no matter what you change, you'll always have the exact invoice that was sent to the customer. Tom asked, how about paper notices, paper late notices? So the plan, the only printed thing we have plans for right now is the invoices themselves. Everything that's an automatic email, the only option we have right now is to send those by email. However, with the integration we're doing with the print-to-mail service, I guess there's no reason why we couldn't have an option in there for those to go to the print-to-mail service and be sent out. So if that's something people are looking for, we could certainly do that. Anthony asks, is the pro forma invoice or statement editable? So this will be exactly the same thing we use for pro forma. So all the text that's on here you'll be able to modify, whether it's a pro forma or a regular statement, and have that say whatever you want. Okay, when my installer gets emailed a ticket while he's in the field, he would like to see a better format of the ticket so he doesn't have to log in PowerCode. Is there a way to include all the info in the ticket, like the address, phone, contact customer, and customer name? Yes. So that ticket notification will be an automatic email that you'll be able to configure, and you'll be able to use variables to put in things like the customer name, customer phone number, ticket number, whatever you're looking for there. So we'll have some kind of template in there for that. But if you want to change that to either be more verbose or more brief, you can certainly do that. Okay, are you working on a manage or edit of the work order sheet? So yes, not for this update, but that is something we have in the fairly near future. We're thinking about probably 908 right now. We'll be going through the calendar, the scheduling, installation, and work order system. That's not definite right now, but that's the plan. So the similar kind of overhaul you're seeing here with invoices and emails, we're planning on doing this in pretty much every legacy system in PowerCode over time, and the scheduling, work order, and install system in PowerCode is one of those things. Okay, so last call for any other questions if anyone has anything else. Okay, so Ben asks, when the billing name same as the contact name, it shows up twice on the invoice. So yeah, you won't have that anymore. The way these are going to pull is that the name shown here will be the account name, and then it will get directed to whichever contacts are selected to get the invoices, and then the email would be directed towards that user. So, you know, the name on this particular account is Simon Westlake, but if the name on the account was, you know, Chuck's Trucking or something, then that's what it would show there. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so Heather asks, I've noticed there was originally on the emails there were issues with text when quotes or apostrophes are used. Has this been corrected? I'm not sure specifically of that issue that you're referring to, but certainly with the system we have now, there's no issue with using any quotes or apostrophes or anything like that. So emailing text tickets, can I show how that's done? So that'll be part of the automatic email system. So those go out today automatically if you have a ticket and there's somebody assigned to it. But we'll have an event in here, ticket notification that you'll be able to modify. So you could have, you know, something like this. We'd say, you know, from tickets@powercode.com. ticket notification. So I could say in here, you know, customer is this. I don't think I have the variable for phone in here yet, but we will be adding that before release. So, you know, it'll be something like this. You know, customer status is this, and ticket number is this. So, I mean, you'll be able to obviously, you know, customize and format this in any way you want. But, you know, that's kind of the gist of how you could lay something out to be able to send specifically the info you want in there. So one of the things we're looking at adding as well, I only have ticket number here right now, but we'd have something where you'd be able to put in the description or the summary of the ticket in there as well. Bob asked to wait to send the actual ticket info. So yeah, that's the plan. Will be there'll be another variable in here before release that will be, you know, something like this. So we'd say ticket summary, right? And then they'd get the summary of that ticket. David asks, is it possible to include GPS coordinates and ticket notification emails? I don't know we planned on the GPS coords, but we were going to have the customer address. I guess there's really no reason why I couldn't add the GPS coordinates as well in that address. That's certainly something we could put in the list as a variable that could be sent. So Bob had asked, is available now. So no, this is not configurable until we release this update. So this is 906. Plan is to have it in beta within the next 2 to 4 weeks here, with a release, you know, hopefully fairly shortly thereafter. So, you know, it's going to be available to you in reasonably short order. Yes, so Bob had asked, is this all in 906? Yes, that is correct. All the stuff I've showed you today is going to be in the 906 update. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so as soon as this is done, we'll be putting this on YouTube along with all of the other presentations that we've done. So for anyone that hasn't seen those, our YouTube channel is at youtube.com. And I'll send this out through GoToMeeting so you can see it. It's youtube.com/powercode.com spelled out. So powercode and then the word dot and then com. So our plan is to continue with these webinars and continue to post them there for people that can't show up or if you want to see them later. And then if you have any other questions you think of after this, feel free to throw them up on the forum or shoot us an email at support@powercode.com. So thanks for everyone for the questions and the comments, and we'll be sending out another webinar shortly for another presentation.